Hello everyone. Today we talk about all embryology in the easy way and least complicated way. As we know, all the embryo started by blast. It's one layer cells. Then by multiplication become two layer cells. Epiblast and hypoblast. Then will be three layers by the upper layers. Sending cells to between of them and become three layers, and its upper layers become ectoderm and mesoderm. After it forms the three germ layers, that's the origin of the all structures from human beings. The three layers, it's ectoderm and mesoderm and endoderm. Then by the process called neurulation, the ectoderm will form two other parts. That's the ectoderm. Upper middle parts of the ectoderm will coming inside and forming a tube like this, and the final result will form the tube and few cells around the tube, and remaining parts of the outside will come close together and continue each others. So this tube is called the neural tube, and the cells around is called neural cells, and the outer ectoderm is called surface ectoderm. Like this, it's formed this tube, neural tube. So that's another picture of neurulation. So final result of the germ cell will be like that: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm, neural tube and neural crest. And inside the mesoderm there contain notochord. Notochord is these round things. It's near to the neural tube. In future become the body of vertebra and nucleus purpurea. Also regarding the mesoderm, it becomes the three parts. Mesoderm, the proximal one to the neural tube is called paraxial mesoderm, and it's forming vertebra and dura maters and muscle and bones. Middle parts, intermediate mesoderm, that it's forming the gonads and kidney, and lateral parts of the mesoderm called lateral plate. It's become two parts. The part that near ectoderm, it's called somatic, and the part that away from the ectoderm and near to endoderm, it's called splanchnic. This part splanchnic, it will be continue like that and will turn around the endoderm and form the heart and vascular structures. As we said, it's ectoderm, then mesoderm, notochord, it's middle of the mesoderm, then there will be endoderm. Endoderm developed to the yolk sac. Then by the folding of the two ends of mesoderm or the embryo, there will be shrinkage of the yolk sac like this, and this process called folding. This like this. As we say that the splanchnic part of the mesoderm coming to anterior to endoderm, and it's form the heart and completely surrounding the endoderm and yolk sac and form the vascular. And the yolk sac will be shrinking due to the folding, and while shrinking, the upper parts of yolk sac, as we know that the yolk sac is the full of the cells, but upper parts of the yolk sac will be apoptosis and form a canal. And before it's finished, also it's giving like that, giving a recess, and this recess forming a recess. This recess in the future forming the recess. This recess called allantois. These recesses in future become the bladder and extragenitalian organs like penis and vagina. And the narrowed part from the endoderm yolk sac. It's formed that tubes that started from forming in future GIT cavity, starting from the mouth to the anus. Now regarding GIT, as we said that the yolk sac, upper part of the yolk sac will be apoptosis and form the canal, and we divide this canal by three parts. The anterior part is called foregut, middle part is called the midgut, and final part is called the hindgut. Middle foregut start from the esophagus till the 1/3 of small bowel to the 2/3 of duodenum. Midgut start from the 2/3 of duodenum till the ascending colons, and the hindgut start from continue this till the anus, above the pectinate line. Above the pectinate line. And all the organs that's coming, all the organs that can originate from the hindgut and midgut and foregut has the same blood vessel origins. And when the yolk sac is too much compressed, it's forming the tube. That tube. It's called Vitellian duct. Regarding the foregut, it's composed of the esophagus and stomach, as we said. Esophagus just prolonged the tube. Regarding the stomach, as we know, this at the beginning, this canal is a simple tube. Then will be bulging of the upper parts or growing of the upper, growing of the back part, slowly, and turning to anterior. Regarding the midgut, at the first there will be 90-degree rotation. Then will be 90-degree rotation, and it's go to ventrally. To outside of the this area, then rotate 180 degree and coming back, and by this movement it's forming all the other parts that remain. That's stomach, foregut, as we say. That's other parts formed. That's allantois, as we say, that the rhesus future and become the bladder and genital areas, and vitelline duct that remnant from the yolk sac. Now regarding the pancreas, in the foregut, after the stomach, there will be two buds, dorsal buds and ventral buds. These two buds will come together. These ventral buds, it's rotated like that and come to the dorsal parts and bind with the dorsal parts and forming one pancreas. And regarding the gallbladder, it's same, but that the ventral buds and growth and will be growing. Regarding the hindgut, as we say that the end part hindgut end part of the yolk sac, canals that form from the yolk sac, called hindgut. They are forming the membrane or septum in this in last part of the hindgut. It's make it two space. By this membrane that called uro-rectal septum, forming two spaces. Forming two spaces. The posterior space is forming the anal canal and GIT, and anterior parts separated allantois, and these allantois become the bladder. These parts become allantois. It's one cavity separated by the membrane and make it two cavity. Anterior will be bladder and lower urinary tract and genital parts, and posterior will be end part of the GIT, rectum, and above pectinate light of anus. That's a general view of any human being. As we see, that's spinal cord, and that's the skin and muscles and internal organs. And we compare to and that's body of the vertebra. As we compare to the embryo, we see that the neural tube will develop to the CNS and brain, central nervous system. That's the spinal cord. That's a notochord. Notochord will be this part, develop to this part, body of vertebra and nucleus pulposa. And we say that the proximal mesoderm surrounded the neural tube. So proximal is forming the muscles around the vertebra and the bones, continuation of the vertebra. And there is neural crest. Neural crest is forming the all peripheral nerve systems, and the nerves that coming out from the vertebra, all that originate from the neural crest. Regarding these organs, most of them that originate from the endoderm, we talk more about it in future. Regarding the CNS, we say that central nervous system originated from the neural tube. That's neural tube. The upper part of the neural tube will be brains. The lower part will form spinal cord. That's spinal cord, and this part of brains. Regarding the brains, will be at the beginning 3 parts: proencephaly, forebrain; mesencephaly, midbrain; and rhabdoencephaly. This part. Now regarding the brains, as I said, at the beginning will be 3 parts. Then the forebrain, proencephaly will be telencephaly and diencephaly. Mesencephaly remain as it is. Hindbrain will be 2 parts: metencephaly and myelencephaly. Telencephaly is forming cerebral hemisphere. Diencephaly thalamus. Mesencephaly midbrain. Metencephaly forming pons and cerebellum, and myelencephaly medulla. If we apply this to the mature human beings, will be easy like that. All this part, cerebral hemisphere, will be this part, will be telencephaly. And middle part, it will be diencephaly. And below it, this part, midbrain, it will be mesencephaly. Mesencephaly. And this part, that's below the midbrain, pons and cerebellum, will be metencephaly. And the lower part, medulla, myelencephaly, will be myelencephaly. Regarding the nerves that originate from it, will be 1 cranial nerve from this area, telencephaly; 2 cranial nerves from diencephaly; third and fourth from mesencephaly; and from the 5th nerve to the end of the cranial nerves will be from metencephaly and myelencephaly. We say that the neural crest is forming all the peripheral nerve system. Peripheral nerve system is including the cranial nerves, that's coming out from brain, and all the peripheral nerve systems that coming out from the spinal cord. Also adrenal medulla, because it's also secreted adrenaline, that's part of the sympathetic nerve system, and also covers meninges. Also Schwann cells that cover the nerves of the peripheral nervous system. Dorsal root ganglia is part of the peripheral nervous system. An exception to this, melanocyte, that is a part of the skin. Now regarding the two glands, pineal glands, it's responsible from the secretion of the melatonin. As we see, it's near to diencephaly, near to this area, diencephaly. So it's originated from diencephaly, and diencephaly, it's part of the central nervous system. And as we know, the central nervous system is formed by originated from the neural tube. Regarding the pituitary glands is formed by the two area. There will be, as we see, that the pituitary glands is anterior to the encephaly and posterior to the pharynx. So will be like that. There will be bulging from the encephaly. And also elevation from the pharynx. The elevation from pharynx, it's called the Ricketts pouch. So the posterior parts that's coming from the encephaly, forming posterior lobe of pituitary, and anterior parts forming anterior pituitary and tutor lobe of pituitary. So if we ask for the original derivatives of posterior lobes of pituitary, it's near to the diencephaly, so it's derived from the diencephaly and neural tube. If ask about the anterior lobes of pituitary, it's derived from the neural cells, neural cells, and originated from the neural ectoderms, because pharyngeal cells originated from the ectoderm. Regarding the eye, in the diencephaly area, there will be bulging. This bulging, it will become to the surface. As we know, the out part of the embryo is called surface ectoderm. This bulging that formed from the diencephaly coming near to the surface ectoderm, and take a bit of it, take a piece of it and take it inside, and turn this piece like this. Take this piece and turn it to the lens. So the origin of the lens is from the surface ectoderm, and the upper parts and remaining parts of the but that formed from the encephaly, inner parts will forming the retina and ciliary process. So the origin of the retina and ciliary process is from the encephaly, and by continuation like this, the encephaly part of the neural central nervous system, brain, and will be neural tube. And we don't forget that all the vessels and muscles originate from the mesoderm. Regarding the cardiac, as we see that this part splanchning, coming like that around the endoderm. Endoderm is in this area, so this part will coming like that around the endoderm, and as we see, that's coming like that. This tube will be merged and form the heart like that. That's endoderm, and that's two tubes binded and form the heart like this. Forms the heart, and forming the tube is composed of the four area like this. Forming the fourth area from third week is formed and pumping the bloods. That the upper parts, truncus arteriosus, bulbus cordius, then the primitive ventricle, primitive atrium, and sinus venosa. And these all parts will be developed to the fully mature heart. And the upper part, truncus arteriosus, will be aorta, pulmonary tracts, bulbus cordius will be smooth part of the right ventricle and left ventricle. Primitive ventricle will be left and right ventricle. Atrium will become left and right atrium, and sinus venous will form coronary sinus and other parts. Let's see the process and the stages of the forming the heart. As we said, it's at the beginning there's two tubes, then these two tubes bind, then these forming this hollow cavity, then this cavity, the anterior parts of this cavity will turn to upward or move to upward, and back parts will go downside. It's like rotating. As we know that this part atrium is in low part, so must be atrium, as we know the immature person in upper part, so the atrium moving to upward like this, upward and above the ventricle, like this. Then the endocardial cushion formed, that's originated from neural crest. From neural crest it's traveled to this area, then the septum form, and the valves forming. As we see that there's heart and vessels that surrounding the embryo and the endoderm. Regarding Uro-genital area, it's all originated from intermediate area. At the beginning, regarding the nephron, it will be three stages. First part, forming pronephron from at the beginning to the third week. Then this pronephron that will be dissolved, it's forming mesonephric tube. Then part from this mesonephric tube will be metanephron and ureteric pouch. Then this mesonephron change to other structures, as we see like that. Pronephron, there will be mesonephron, there will be, and the lower parts of this there will be allantois. So the ureteric bulk and metanephron duct that bind to the mesonephron tubes, it's ending to the allantois, and allantois later its name changed to cloaca, and it will be a bladder and extragenital organ. As we know that the origin of the cloaca and allantois from the yolk sac, and yolk sac from endoderm. Regarding the gonads, as I said, they all form mesonephron. With the mesonephron, there will be two structures formed in the same levels. It will be Mullerian duct and Wolffian duct. It is Wolffian duct, it's like a wolf in the male, and Mullerian duct. If the baby is the male, because of the hormonal, the Wolffian duct remain and Mullerian duct degenerate. But if the baby is the female, Mullerian duct remain and Wolffian duct degenerate. And the germinal testis or the ovum will be traveled from the yolk sac to the area at the level of the mesonephron. And when they arrive to this area, if as I said, if the baby is male, due to the effect of the hormonal, Wolffian duct change to the epididymis and vas difference and seminal vesicles, and Mullerian duct will be regressed. If the baby is the female, Wolffian duct will be regressed, and the Mullerian duct. Mullerian duct will proximal part will form the fimbriae and form the uterus and upper part of vagina. Then these two parts will came to near to each other and binding and form the uterus and upper part of vagina. But the lower part of vagina will be continuation of the allantois, like that. So we say that the hindgut is two part, one cavity. By the urorectal fold or septum will be two cavity, allantois and the hindgut. In allantois and hindgut, allantois form the bladder, hindgut form the lower part of the GIT tracts, and the end part of GI tract is called cloaca membrane that form the anus. Then the name of the allantois when become the bladder changed to cloaca, and now slowly it will be separated. Now separated, and mesonephron formed, and metanephron formed from continuation of the duct of mesonephron, not from the allantois. That's why it's mesonephron originate from the mesoderm, not if it's originated from the cloaca, they will become originate from the endoderm. Now, as we see that the Mullerian duct, that's in female, both Mullerian duct bind to each other, and that's form the uterus and fimbriae. And lower parts of the vagina would be a part of the cloaca. That's why if they ask about the origin of the uterus and uterine tube and things like that originate from the Mullerian duct, and that's Mullerian duct originated from the mesoderm, and upper part of vagina originated from the Mullerian duct. That's why originated from the mesoderm. But the lower parts of the vagina, it's originated from the cloaca, and the cloaca originates from allantois and yolk sac and endoderm. That same explains same things but in different way, different pictures. Now regarding respiratory is much easy parts because it's originated from the foregut, and anterior to foregut there will be budding, but it's called the lung bud. So all the respiratory originated from the foregut from yolk sac from the endoderm. So the origin of the respiratory, lungs, alveoli, bronchial, primary bronchial, things like all these, it's from the endoderm. But we don't forget that the muscles and artery is general rule that it's originated from the mesoderm. Regarding the thyroid, again, anterior to the foregut, it will be pharyngeal apparatus. Inside the pharyngeal apparatus will be bulging. Between 1 and 2 pharyngeal arch will be bulging from thyroid, from inside to downside. The bulging from this bulging coming downside like this to anterior to this area. That's why the origin of the thyroid also from the endoderm. The duct that came bringing the thyroid downside is thyroglossal duct. And we don't forget that with the thyroid there is parathyroid gland, and that's pharyngeal apparatus that I explained from another video. Third, pharyngeal parts, it's the middle part by the mesoderm, called arches. Inner part will called pouch, like with a pocket. Outside called the arch. And from that third and fourth pouch pouch. It's forming superior and lower parathyroid, and when it's formed and coming downside, because it's forming from this area and coming downside to the thyroid area, and parathyroid travel to downside and remain with the. That's why origin of the parathyroid, that it's inside inner parts of the aortic arch and inner parts from the yolk sac and endoderm. That's general principle of the derivatives. That's ectoderm. We said ectoderm is surface ectoderm and neural tubes and neural crest. We say that anything surface ectoderm is came from known from its name, surface of body. So the anything is epithelia. So it's forming epiderm, hair, nails, sebaceous gland, olfactory epithelium. We say anterior pituitary because it's pharyngeal, tooth enema and cheek epithelium, and also we say that the lens and cornea. Lens, that's the bulging from the diencephaly, take a piece of it. Neural crest, all the peripheral nerve system, Schwann cells, neural cells, sympathetic, parasympathetic, everything. Adrenal medulla, that secrete, that's hormonal system of the sympathetic nerve system, melanocyte, facial cartilage, and dentist. We have crest that's used for the toothing. You can remember teeth with this. We say that the neural tube is forming all the central nerve system, brain, spinal cord, motor neuron, retina, and pituitary, posterior pituitary. Regarding endoderm, we said anything that's derived from the yolk sac, it's endoderm. So the foregut, midgut, hindgut, urinary bladder, allantois, colchia, thyroid, parathyroid, tympanic membrane, tympanic cavity, that's from the first pharyngeal pouch, trachea, bronchial, lung, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, all this. Regarding mesoderm, as we said, paraxial, it's the near to the neural tube, near to the spinal cord. So it's forming the vertebra, body of the vertebral disc, nuchal pulse, that's formed by the notochords. And the intermediates is, as we said, that uro-genital, kidney, and gonads. Lateral, somatic and upper part, and the splanchning cover the yolk sac, as we say, and forming the vascular. That's the easy mnemonic to memorize things. From week 3 to 8, it will be organogenesis. From the week 4, they will form 4 chamber of the heart, 4, and 4 limbs, 4. Week 8 will be gate, so embryo start to the moving by the week 8. With the 10 will be pen, or genitalia, penis. They will forming genital area. That's all. I hope you get benefit from my understanding and clarification regarding organogenesis and all things that in embryo that I had difficulty to understand it.